he's been there. He's given them, how long? 17 years? 3 of which he didn't even touch the field for. So, you really can't give him a heads up about Jordy Nelson or Randall Cobb or Jake Kumo, who he just sung praises for before you guys cut him. You gotta... I think some people just have to see more of Aaron Rodgers. I think they're just looking at the situation and being like, oh, what a crybaby. He's an employee. He doesn't have to be told anything. Listen. Look at it from his side right now. Try to see his perspective. It'll change your mind a bit. In Aaron's mind, he's given them 17 years. And at the time of the Jordan Love pick, it was 16 years. He wanted to... if you're gonna... I understand if it's a second or third round pick thing. It's not that big of a deal. If Aaron were about it, a second or third round quarterback pick, I'd be like, that's a little weak of him. But, they traded up for him in the first round. It's much different. And I don't think it makes sense to compare this to the Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers situation. I think, because, Rodgers was originally, it was Rodgers versus Alex Smith. Rodgers versus Alex Smith for the number 1 pick. People loved Aaron Rodgers. They thought he was a number 1 prospect. And the Niners were actually leaning towards Aaron, and then they switched at the night of the draft. And Brett Favre was aging at that point, much like they saw Aaron Rodgers aging a bit. They saw Brett Favre aging, and they saw Aaron Rodgers, arguably the number 1 pick in the draft, fall right to them. Fall to the 24th pick. That's much different. What the Packers saw was a slightly aging Aaron, and then they traded up in the first round for a second-round talent. Love was viewed as a second-round talent, and they traded up for him in the first round. It is much different. And even if they, Aaron would probably be a little less hung up on this if they drafted a receiver in the second round or something, or a corner or some position of need. But they got a power back and a blocking tight end. That's what they did. They got a power back and a blocking tight end. They did not need any of those positions. Sometimes, when the team has a slightly aging quarterback, Aaron Rodgers was slightly aging, Favre was slightly aging, Joe Flacco, this is a good example. Slightly aging quarterback. Lamar got a lot of hype before the draft because of his dual threat ability. He fell to number 30 with the Ravens. Alright. And they thought, alright, we got an aging Joe Flacco, and we got a prospect that people are very high on. So, why don't we just draft Lamar at 30? It's a pretty big steal. Much like the Packers. Now, Brett Favre may have not been... He may have still been a top 10 quarterback, much like Aaron Rodgers. But they saw Rodgers, who, again, was argued to be the number 1 prospect. And so they got a slightly aging Brett Favre. Think about the situation. Imagine this. You're the Green Bay GM at the time. Was it Ted Thompson? I don't think it was Ted Thompson yet. Oh, no, I think it was. I think he had just gotten hired, I think. I don't know. All right, so you're Ted Thompson. You got a slightly aging Brett Favre. His numbers did go down a bit. And Brett. Alright, and Brett Favre is having he had a kind of a down year, a down Brett Favre year. Alright, so you're not planning on picking a quarterback at number 24. But then all of a sudden, you see Aaron Rodgers, who was argued to be a number one prospect, right there on the board. Are you telling me with an aging quarterback and a number one prospect on the board, you're not going to take Aaron Rodgers? You know, so I mean, honestly, this was not the same thing. It was not similar at all. If it were similar, my opinion would be much different. I'd probably be a little more on the Packers side than Aaron's. Alright. Then he was asked about retirement, which he said he seriously considered retirement, but really what he did was take time to work on himself. Now, I think what Aaron Rodgers really was looking for was, like, because, like, when you're, what I think with these players, like, when you're single in the NBA or NFL, you know, you really just have that sport. Like, Rodgers, what has Rodgers had in his life for the last couple years? Football and what else? Like LeBron, what does LeBron have? Wife, kids. You know, like LeBron, his three things in life: family, basketball, business. Those are LeBron's priorities. Family, basketball, business. That's what he's always focusing on. You know, Tom Brady, family, business, football. What Rodgers was looking for, the and. So what does he have now? Football and Shailene Woodley. You know, I think this press conference was honestly a big win for Aaron, because I think he makes the front office look a little worse than a lot of people were saying. You know, not a lot of people were actually on their side, and I think this kind of, I think these responses that he came up with, you know, I think a lot of his answers to these questions were great. I think these were the exact right answers. I think he makes the front office look pretty bad, and he makes himself come off as a little bit better. And I agree with a lot of things he said. It's not like he's lying about anything. He didn't say a word of a lie. All right, I'll talk about that. Actually, the last thing on the show will be about that. Anyway, the NBA is going to implement new rules forbidding non-basketball moves to draw fouls, which is annoying to me. I don't like when they manipulate the system and they kind of lean in to draw a foul. You know, I think you should just drive, and if they foul you, they foul you. You know, and I'm not saying I'm a tough guy or anything. I'm just saying you should be a little less leaning in and just drive. You know, if you miss, the worst case scenario is you miss a layup, which is embarrassing, but you got the rest of the game to pick that back up. So I kind of like that they're implementing this stuff, because I don't like when they do that. And honestly, even though I'm sometimes, a lot of times pro player, I don't like when the NBA players have that much power and are able to just, jump in front of anyone and just get called for a foul. All right, so Flores said that he is excited about Tua this season, and I am obviously a Tua apologist. I remain patient on him. I mean, it's not like I think he's a great player. I mean, obviously, he hasn't shown that yet, but like I said, he hasn't even played a full season, so how can we even be sure? You know, I've never come out and said Tua's going to be phenomenal in the NFL. On this podcast, I've never come out and said that. What I have said is he is not as bad as people are saying. People are freaking out over this. But his stats were actually similar to Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow only played one more game than him. Now, he's not better than Joe Burrow. The problem here is he's going to be compared to Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert, and he's just not better than any of them. But doesn't mean he's not going to be a success in the NFL. But believe me, NFL GMs are going to know, probably by Thanksgiving, whether or not Tua is a good player or not. Alright. The last thing I'm going to talk about today, which will probably be like a 30-minute podcast, is the Rodgers press conference. So apparently he's not closing the door on returning to Green Bay, which I said, look out for that. Watch out. He might return to Green Bay. You never know. Everyone thinks they know, this is the last dance, So I think, honestly, if the Packers can deliver a Super Bowl this year, Rodgers might actually stay. If they even make one, I think he might stay. As long as they keep the good players that they had. But I thought Aaron did very well. He was very authentic and he was accurate too. That's something I really liked actually. He was accurate. His press conference was accurate. It wasn't the one thing I didn't like about The Last Dance. That was probably the best documentary I've ever seen. It wasn't completely accurate. There was some lying there in The Last Dance. This was an accurate press conference, which I like. I thought his retirement bit was great. He also said he wanted to be more involved in conversations that involved his job. Now, I think the Randall Cobb move was kind of a sympathy move. And I thought it was great because I said during the offseason, the Packers should sign just one of these positions. A second corner, a defensive end, or a slot receiver. Just one of those positions. That's what they should sign. Randall Cobb is a great slot receiver for this because they have they have great outside receivers. I like Allen Lazard. I think he's developing a bit. Obviously, Devontae Adams is one of the best receivers in football. What they needed was a slot receiver. Everyone on their roster is too tall for that. So I think Cobb is a great move. One of the pushbacks I've seen is, the salary thing, But I think this is... this Aaron Rodgers thing, when I was trying to tell whether or not he was coming back, I was trying to, pick up signals or, signs. I was trying to look for all that to figure out if he was coming back or not. And, I kept coming up with theories, why he'd win or something, or why he'd come back. Or even why Jordan Love would not be good, or whether or not he is good. My theory about this, what did the Saints do this year, knowing it was probably Drew Brees' last year? What did the Saints do this year? They went all out in free agency. They signed a lot of people, and they're in cap hell right now, but they knew it was Drew's last year. They wanted to get him a Super Bowl. And, it didn't work out, but that's what they did. They went all in. So what I'm seeing with this, I don't know if it's that big a deal.